I've seen like from like close accelerators, incubators, they don't necessarily give such a sort of foundational education, because it is important, and usually they're gonna help you with like tactical things. They're gonna connect you with people,
Yeah.
but they're not gonna teach you like the foundations, and I think that's really important. And one thing I noticed for the, we talked earlier about the how resources are more available, but still it's still like more competitive, because maybe there are less opportunities, and maybe sort of technology, we have reached a peak in like in
Mm-hmm.
many technologies, and we have
Mm-hmm.
reached a sort of a plateau of what you could do with certain technologies. So
Yeah.
opportunities are harder to come by. So, and one of the things I think a lot of founders, and especially first time founders should think about, is that it's become more and more important to focus on building an audience
Mm-hmm.
than focusing on the product today, because
Mm-hmm.
I think the massive growth spikes that you could see like even 4 or 5 years ago on certain products, I think it's becoming harder and harder to come by these cases, and looking for that product market fit.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of founders are sort of not building anything and I've actually come through this case a lot, and myself I did that mistake a lot, is that you're so focused on building the ultimate product, um, that you spend so much time sort of revising that product, iterating,
Yeah.
doing all that work, but that work does not leave anything sort of as an asset for the company. On the other hand, if you're able to bring an audience first, and cultivate that audience and build connections with people who are potentially interested in buying your product at the end of the road, like if you obviously not right now, because again, like the idea is not to bring a product to market so fast, but if you're able to build an audience, build those connections, and then sort of co-create a product with the audience, I think that's like really the best approach right now. Because at the end of the day, even if your first product is gonna like fails, because it's most likely to happen, uh,
Yeah.
especially the first iterations, you will still have something. You will still have
Yeah.
an email list. You will still have an audience, people following you
Yeah.
on your social, people knowing your work. And if you have a V2 to offer them, then it's most likely that they will try it again, because they trust you and they consume your content.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this is an advice that I haven't heard at all, like from most of my sort of years as a founder, and working with entrepreneurs. They get so focused on this sort of phase, like these three phases that you talked about, ideation, MVP, growth, and it needs to work within 6 months, and you need to but at the end of the day, like it's really risky to do that. And I feel like taking the time to build
Yeah.
an audience sometimes during that process, because you could do both at the same time,
Right.
is valuable. I don't know if what you think about this.
Absolutely. In when people are in pursuit of perfection, it just creates like this tunnel vision, you know, and they're not they're just thinking about their product. Maybe people are building like nice to have features and they're not connecting with their audience as much and being like, okay, what do you guys want? You know, I mean, what is going to be the most helpful for you?
Yeah, and the most successful companies and like small business, without talking just about startups, but let's talk about small businesses in general.
Sure.
The most successful ones I've seen in the past few years are, first of all, they're either funded or not funded. I've seen a lot of
Mm,
success in non-funded, like bootstrap companies, and in that case, they have access to an audience. It's an audience maybe they built for years, or they are
yeah.
very good at partnering with people who have an audience and are
Mm,
able sort of to use other people's audiences.
yeah, leveraging that.
Um, so this is the first case. The second case are people who are able to show a bit of traction at some point and go for paid, sort of a paid traction, and accelerate traction, accelerate growth with
Yeah.
a lot of paid in general. And But in any case, whether you're funded or completely bootstrapped, access to an audience is absolutely crucial, because that's like, to me, that's like one of the first mistakes I've seen with founders is, again, like obsession with product, and then once you have something ready, putting it out in the world and have no one
Yeah.
to see it, have no one to show it to.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the worst.
yeah, exactly. And it could be a great product, but if you have no eyeballs,
Right.
if you have no one who can actually appreciate it and see what you're doing and use it, then you're really missing a big part of the puzzle. And so, yeah, it's I don't know, I feel like I needed to say this because
No, it's
it's yeah.
true. Yeah. One of my buddies, Vin Clancy, real name though, Vincent Dignan. He is a growth marketer, and is one of the group leaders of Traffic and Copy. Um, and um, and he once said, "No marketing, no startup." you know, this guy's been giving talks everywhere, and but before coronavirus hit,
Yeah.
of course. But he just like you said, if you don't have any eyeballs, you're just not going to get anywhere. And it's actually for that same reason that I built such a big blog for Startup Dev Kit,
Mm.
and I focused actually really heavily on SEO, so that I could have a consistent source of traffic month after month. Um, Without any other marketing, I was able to get about 4,000 visits a month just from SEO. And like that's very
That's great.
good.
Yeah.
And being able to get to the top of a lot of the uh, page listings, and searches for Google, is super important. I think being able to have a consistent source of traffic is one of the best ways to go, and I think blogging is a fantastic way to do it, so that you can get repeat traffic, and do like an inbound marketing approach where you can set up lead magnets, in your articles, um, use pop-ups to their full extent, while not being annoying at the same time, of course. But providing value with all that stuff. And I think growing an audience is just, and being able to get eyes on your product, just like you said, is just, it's incredibly important. I'm so glad that you brought that up, um, because there are a lot of startups who just are focusing on just product alone, and
Mm-mm.
they're not getting anywhere.